This video, I'm going to be talking about every OC I've ever made. Thanks to this comment here, I get to blab about my OCs because somebody asked, so now you have to listen. So let's just get right into it. I'm going to split them up into categories. So the main categories are going to be the fandoms that they're in. So, Haikyuu or TMNT or AFMAL or whatever they came from. And then within those categories, I'm going to try to put them in chronological order, but some of them I won't really know because I made a lot of them in my high school years and kind of just added onto them and adjusted them. So yeah, that's how I'm going to do it. So the first OC I'm going to be talking about, well, I guess it's more of a self-insert, is LOLX DYT. So YT is originally created because I made a friend called Rosie who was super interested in animation, and I was too, and I wanted to be a part of her world and wanted to make things with her as a way to like impress her, I guess. So I made an animation, which is how YT was originally created. I designed her to be the easiest thing to draw ever, just like a circle with a triangle body and arms and legs with a bow. And her very first appearance was in a Club Penguin dance meme I made in September of 2019. She's one of my favorite OCs ever, and I will never ever let her go. Her original bow design was a testament to my persona at the time, which had a bow in her hair and was basically just a Minecraft skin but drawn. And YT has changed quite a few times until she became what she is today, and I probably won't change her again because I do really like the simplicity of her, and I love that she's just like so silly and goofy to draw, and she's kind of just my OC, like my main OC that I go to doodle if I don't really know what to do. Her most recent appearance in any media is probably Rosie's old animation series, RAW, which is literally the most life-changing thing to happen to me. And I'd love to be able to make something similar one day because seeing my character like come to life in that way just made me so happy, and being able to like voice act with my friends was just something that really like made me happy.
Well, remember to have you fading out the screen. Wacky Tucky!
白い赤身死にかけている。
Well, look who it is. So she's also had a 3-episode miniseries a long time ago where I was going to explain her story more in depth, called But Why, but I never actually had the chance to finish it. Mostly because I'm super like over ambitious and never get anything done. Her story was pretty much consistent over the years, since her first appearance in RAW. She never really like changed outside of that. She's a lone survivor of her like planet, like her species, I guess, because they're all aliens in RAW. She blew it up like a long time ago when everything became corrupt and had amnesia because she exploded herself like an idiot. In her story, she never did get her old memories back fully, but she did remember like glimpses of her past. She does meet Rosie's self-insert like after the incident and not before, so like Rosie wasn't able to help her. And the two go on a lot of adventures together, which is pretty awesome. They're basically all based on like when me and Rosie play video games. And yeah, I do want to do more with her on this channel because she does mean a lot to me because she's basically the reason me and Rosie became friends in the first place. And yeah, you'll probably see her a lot more, and let's just move to the next OC. So this one was basically my second persona ever, basically. I guess I like official persona because I've had in between, but I don't really want to talk about them because they're not that important, and they were never developed past like designs, so they don't get a mention really. But basically, this is XD. He was a demigod who I initially created the lore for when I was in a Minecraft server. I used to own a Minecraft server back when, I think it was like 2020, when was it? 2020, 2021, maybe? It was about the time when the Dream SMP was all like famous and stuff and whatever, and it seemed like fun to just have a lore deep story with your friends going on. Terrible idea, by the way. Don't do it. Writing a story with other people who don't like to communicate is it doesn't go well. Anyway, I used to use it, his name as my alias a few years back, and I haven't really touched him since. I think maybe in the future I want to do more with him as like a standalone character because he did have some really in-depth lore that I'd love to explore in my own time. That's not laid down by other people. The reason I didn't ever continue with him is because a lot of the lore was reliant on talking to others and making sure it fit their ideas. But now that we've disbanded from the group, I'm probably going to repurpose him for like another world because I'd hate to see something that I put so much love into be forgotten. He's one of my favorite characters, in the sense that I put a lot of thought into his story, and I've written so many like one-shots, one-off stories that I'd love to publish one day, like as a like not like publish, but like put on a site somewhere that people can read, because I really like this character. So yeah, hopefully I get to do something with him one day. My most recent Sona is Lucky Pups, the pink-haired gremlin, and he kind of just represents me, and when I originally made him, I did have pink hair. He's kind of evolved a little bit, since my friend Rosie and I made our shared Canned Worms channel together, but other than that, yeah, he's just a pink-haired gremlin. There's nothing to it, really. So my first OC to ever be created was probably Sunny, I think. She was made back when I was like 9 years old-ish, and was really new to the internet. So I wanted to kind of insert something of my own into the fandoms that I was in, which happened to be Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles at the time. Sunny was created originally as a fifth member of the Turtles, being the younger sister, and I actually recently redesigned her in a video to make a little more sense in the universe, since she was never really fully developed, and I didn't really want to do much with her because when I was younger, my interests were a little all over the place. I think originally her weapon was the Kunoichi fan that the 2012 version of Master Splinter gave to April O'Neil. But to be honest, I still haven't really thought that much in depth about Sunny, because she's not really a character I connect much with anymore. I do still really like her because it's something I created when I was younger, and I probably was really proud of her back then, but you know, I just don't connect with her as much as I used to, because, you know, she doesn't really align with my interests anymore. You know, she doesn't have the same interests that I do now, and that's probably why I don't feel the same kind of want to do stuff with her that I do for Tyler Valentine or Yuzuki. Okay, so the next one on this list is Tyler Valentine, who was first designed in, I think, about 2017. He was a character in the 2012 TMNT universe, and eventually over the years, I've made pretty much multiple versions of him for each of the different series. So, you know, the 2003 series, Rise of the TMNT, etc., etc. They all have different things about them, so it's a bit hard to explain every single part about him without making this video like 10 hours long. I guess like the main basis is that he's a smart but lazy person. He's very like energy efficient, so he'll only do things if it takes a lot of energy, but I mean, no, if it is a lot less energy but a big effort reward. Anyway, so his main focus is music, and especially in the 2012 and the Rise of the TMNT version, he goes on to study music in community college. He has no interest in fighting or putting himself in harm's way or getting involved with anything that the Ninja Turtles actually do. But he does eventually get entangled up with them during a mishap in one of the missions. In pretty much all of their universes, Tyler is very empathetic to others and in tune with his own emotions. He has a strong sense of moral justice. Even though he doesn't enjoy fighting, he does do his best to make sure everyone's okay and happy. There's a lot of like stupid and silly quirks about Tyler that I really like, most of them being that he's just a chill guy doing chill guy things. And in every universe, he's shit with Donatello because the two seem to balance each other out. Tyler has a very simple, straightforward way of thinking, whereas Donatello tends to overthink, and it leads to a lot of ideas and prompts for future storylines and segues, and it just excites me. My favorite version of him currently is the Bad Future timeline for the Rise of the TMNT, where he and Donnie are the head scientist and incident reporter for the Resistance. It's kind of a great way for me to explore an apocalyptic future, like universe, while still being able to talk to my favorite characters. So that's Tyler Valentine. Then we have Oakley, who is a martial artist. In the 2012 universe, he joins the Foot Clan to make extra cash to support his large family, whereas in the Rise universe, he lives alone and escapes the responsibility of looking after his younger siblings. I made them different because I kind of wanted to explore the separate ways to handle having a burden to care of when it comes to familial relationships. With Oakley, he's got a strong sense of self-reliance and hates being dependent on others. He works hard to make sure he stays at the top of his game and despises anyone who tries to take control for him. I kind of ship him with Leonardo in pretty much all of the versions of the Ninja Turtles, because I feel as though they can relate the most to each other, since they both have that strong sense of responsibility and need to survive, whereas, you know, Oakley has a less sense of morality and justice than Leo does. I think my favorite dynamic of his is with Rise Leo in specific, since they both handle their siblings in different ways, Oakley having ran away from the responsibility and just left them, whereas Leo kind of fights for his siblings, and it makes for some interesting moments, and really allows me to get into my creative juices and make art that's a bit angsty, and it makes me feel powerful. So yeah, that's Oakley. And of course, there's Red, who is a genetic clone of 2012 Raphael. He comes from a different universe, like an alternate universe that I'd created, and I made a whole document about them, which I've seemed to have lost. So if I ever find that, I'll update this video. But until then, this is Red. He's just a genetic clone. He's just a little guy. On top of that, we've also got Mika, who is a standalone character for the universe as well. And finally, for the TMNT universe, we've got Sadie Moore, who I made a complete video about because I made her for a video. And also two standalone characters who don't have much about them. That's Isaac and Darcy. And they're not very well thought out. I just kind of had them for art fight. So yeah, there's not much to say about them. My first ever OC for the Haikyuu fandom, and I'm gonna tell you, he is such a disaster. I think he was mostly inspired by me when I was in high school, and that's George or Geo. He's trans, likes the creative side of things, and goes to an imaginary school that I made up for the universe, a long time ago. He never really had an in-depth storyline or anything, so I don't have much to say about him, but I did really enjoy the few moments I had him for. I had a little character sheet in my, like, sketchbook and everything, and, yeah, I didn't use him for anything, so. Next on our list is Sato Yuzuki, and she's currently my favorite OC outside of, like, my generic OCs that I use every day. She's probably the most fleshed out so far, and she's definitely one of the ones I love to draw because she's just so bright and intriguing, I guess. She's very, like, curious in nature, so she just makes me happy. As a student in a highly commended school, Aoba Josai, Sato Yuzuki was part of the martial arts team, often going to competitions and events. During her years at Aoba Josai, she managed to get into a relationship with Waikawa Toru, but the two never seemed lovey-dovey, and since they both had competitions and practice, they eventually fell out of love, but never really broke up until she transferred out. In her second year, she had an incident which led to her knee being shattered, and her career as a national martial artist was destroyed. It's something she struggled to deal with until she eventually learned to live with it when she transferred schools in her third year to Shiratorizawa. She's got, like, this whole family tree with her parents being hard workers and fairly well off, and her older sister living with her own husband. She's got a supportive family, and it really helps her in the long run. During her third year at Shiratorizawa, she ends up in a relationship with Yushijima, and the two are very happy together, and I like to think that endgame, but, you know, canon. She admires his passion for volleyball and loves supporting him, and he loves how strong she is mentally and finds himself admiring her. They both balance each other out and find ways to improve each other's lives, which is the main reason I really enjoy their dynamic. In the end of her story, post time skip, she ends up as a social media manager for famous athletes, as sports is something she's super passionate about, and since she can't physically join in anymore due to her knee, she wants to support others in growing the appeal for physical activity. And finally, for the Haikyuu section is Neo. So Neo is a very questionable character. He's mixed British-Japanese and lived in England for the majority of his life, but often travelled to Japan during summer holidays to stay with his grandparents, so he does know the language. His mother was very intense with ensuring he stayed close to his culture, which he's very grateful for after high school. Neo isn't his real name, but more of an alias. He's well known in, like, the darker side of the world, partaking in street fights, often being in nightclubs and drinking, but he does draw the lines at, like, hardcore drugs. During one of his street fights, he notices, like, a fairly famous onigiri shop being raided by a group of teen wannabe gangsters, and he eventually stops them and gets to know the owner. The two end up secretly dating, and he ends up quitting his mafia-style life, like, aesthetic life, and starts working with his boyfriend in the onigiri store. And he's not really fleshed out any more than that, but I do really like his design, and I think he's really goofy, and I do want to do a lot more with him in the future, maybe even as a standalone character. I'm gonna do these ones as, like, a double because they're twins, and only one of them was ever really developed, so... we have Arlo, who was the more rebellious of the twins, always skipping school. She wasn't, like, naughty or anything, and she just didn't find enjoyment or any reason to be at school because she was quite smart and just kind of didn't want to be at school. And then there was Ayla, who was fairly quiet but enjoyed being a part of the teams and meeting new people and being part of group projects. She was also a tutor for freshmen, and I don't remember too much about them because they were made a really, really long time ago, and they were based on a lot of roleplays me and my cousin did together when we were younger. So yeah, I wish I could tell you more, but there's not a lot to them. And my only other AFMAO OC was Danny or Danielle. Danielle is a future child of Dante with an unknown mother. She was originally created for a roleplay me and my cousin did in a Discord server together, which was kind of like a Phoenix Drop High reunion type roleplay. So like the kids of the AFMA, My Street, Phoenix Red Pie people. She was kind of sporty and enjoyed soccer and dancing along with her younger sister Daisy. I don't remember much other than the fact that during the roleplay, she had a crush on a girl who struggled with the fact that she liked women, and since Danny had a father who'd always been okay with her bisexuality, she didn't know how to help or react. Eventually, the name Danny was used later for other things, but she was the kickstarter to a lot of my online presence, which is quite a fun fact. As you can probably tell by the name of this character, I was edgy and going through a lot of emotions as a teenager. He was very depressed and angsty, and I've actually lost every single bit of media of him, but I'm pretty sure other people had a similar idea. He had a very dark red like background, like a theme into him, like black and red. And yeah, it's just let's just forget about it. Next we have Pessy and Opti, who are very, 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 very inspired by Dream and Nightmare sounds. They were almost like very distant, very young, very naive versions of them, and instead of feeling emotions and sharing them, they almost derived off of them like yokai. They were never truly fleshed out either, because again, I'm super over ambitious and don't know how to stick to one thing. But at the time, I really enjoyed drawing them, or at least drawing Pessy anyway. And yeah. Chicken is probably the stupidest character to come to life. She came to exist when me and Rosie were screen sharing dating games together and couldn't decide what to call our character, so we just called them Chicken. And then we kind of made a design for them, and now she exists. She's obsessed with boys and relationships and finds it hard to be interested in other people on a genuine level outside of her romantic advances. And I think me and Rosie both have different ideas for her, but that's kind of what makes Chicken so great. Then we have Bleg, who is less of an OC and more of a character we personified from the game Nightblights. Bleg quite literally standing for Black Egg because the baby in Nightblights is an egg shape and has no defining features. It was mostly a joke character, but they sometimes appear in little doodles or comics with LXD. And of course, I can't talk about standalone universe OCs if I don't talk about Valerie and Oscar. Valerie and Oscar were originally for a webcomic I planned to make, and I might actually still continue with it in the future. It was based on a trans woman with a manic disorder who fell in love with a cashier, and it was going to entail all of the highs and lows of the relationship upkeep between two trans people with mental health issues. Valerie is kind of at the moment a standalone character that I draw a lot because she's someone I really adore. She loves music and wants to be a famous musician one day, and she struggles with her confidence and consistency. She's also designed to be pretty, but in like an unconventional way, but I'm not really sure I portrayed that well. And speaking of webtoons, there was my second attempt at making a webtoon, which was a story following Isaac Soda, Axel, and Caden, who could all see or interact with spirits of the afterlife. They ran a small business in the garage of Soda's family house, and I think I made like 1 or 2 chapters of the webcomic, and instantly got distracted by something else. But I would love to go back to it someday when I'm more like talented and have more time to spare for like my own projects, because it's something I'm really interested in, especially with it being about spirits and stuff, and also I had so many ideas for it. Now for some quickfire characters who didn't really get a story, we've got Arlo the Shark Boy, we've got Sunny and Moon, and then Nugget and Pebble. And of course there's Jeremiah Douchebag, my fictional girlfriend, there's August, and we can't forget Desmold, and Angela and Sammy, who are characters that I think me and Rosie worked on together, but eventually Rosie decided to, well, I guess like we shared custody and then I gave custody to Rosie, I guess. I don't know. So yeah, those two. And Keelan from the video I did. And finally, my alter ego, Pulpsy. Now, I'm sure that I had like a ton more characters hidden away somewhere or archived away in the old books of history, aka my old sketchbooks that are lost time and space. But those are the ones that I can remember or have found like media for. And yeah, thank you for suggesting this video. I actually had a lot of fun talking about my OCs, and I hope you enjoyed watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!